It's July 7th, 7:33. I'll call the planning and zoning meeting from the town of Willington to order. Present, myself, Jeremy Brothers, Rebecca Sinofsky, Joseph Hall, and we'll seat Michael Johansson for Bill Burnell. And Stephen Troyer is remote tonight.
Yes.
Any applications for receipt?
No.
Okay. Moving on to D, public hearing. For PZ 26-7, special permit application for construction of a 10,000 square foot plus or minus truck wash and 3,000 square foot storage building with associated site improvements in the DC zone. Owner JT Properties LLC, applicant Designer Professionals. We'll hear from the applicant at this time.
That's appropriate to stand. Yes, for your record, I'm Peter Valley, President and CEO of Design Professionals. And for your record, our offices are at 58 Connecticut Avenue, Suite H, in South Windsor, which is 3 towns away. A very short drive. So we are here on behalf of our clients are 10 Polster Road LLC, and it's also associated with JT Property LLC, right here in front. Tony is fine as his sister, Julianne. And they've submitted to commission an application for a site plan and special exception for what we're calling a state-of-the-art truck washing facility, and also for a separate self-storage building in the design commercial zone. It's a 12.3 acre parcel at 10 Polster Road, hence the name 10 Polster Road LLC. You recall called it in December. We were before you previously. I was there along with, I know, Daniel Jameson, our director of engineering, who's not here tonight, but you approved a zone change application to the DC zoning district for the subject property. Find it was consistent with your goals and recommendations, and objectives of the plan of conservation development, especially fostering net tax revenue, generating business and economic development at your Interstate 84 exit 71 interchange, which features 3 major logistic enterprises. Subject property on the easterly side of Polster Road and northerly side of Mahaliak Road is directly across the street from the Love's truck stop, and also in the DC zone. It is also contiguous to Showcase Service Center, which also recently received a DC zone change. I believe it was the last year from the commission. Other area properties to the north and northeast of the property are in the R80 zone, the residential zone. This was previously in that subject property, except across Interstate 84 zone DC. And commercial uses on that side across the highway include the existing TA Truck Center, Travel Center, and then the FedEx Ground Distribution Center. Our clients, Julianne and Tony, have assembled the design team consisting of the following. Alan Lamson, president of FLB Architecture and Planning of Manchester, to design the proposed buildings, both of them. Incidentally, also with him tonight is his son, Mark, who's the vice president there. Also Matt Blunt, who's a PE and a senior geotechnical engineer of GEI in Glastonbury for geotechnical services. Mark Bertucci to my right, who is vice president at Fuss & O'Neill in Hartford for traffic engineering services. Jim Luzick, who's not here tonight. He's PE of Civil Solutions. Colin, he did soils testing. We worked with him many times on septic systems and drainage. Also, Ian Cole, Wetlands and Soil Sciences, Middletown for Wetlands and Natural Resources Consulting. He was there regarding at the Wetlands Commission presentation. And Design Professionals at South Windsor, including myself, I'm president for land planning services on this project. Also, Lauren Mello to my right table, who is the PE and Director of Operations. Daniel Jameson, who I just mentioned, Director of Engineering, and Quasi Cousins. Tracy right there, second row. She's project engineer with design professionals. She's been very much involved in engineering design, along with Barbara Schmidt, who's a professional landscape architect for landscape architectural services, and Barry Clark, professional land surveyor. He's our director of surveying, who handles the land surveying and also conceptual layout services initially with this project. So with me this evening are Alan and his son Mark from FLB. Mark Bertucci, as I said, to my right, behind me, from Fuss & O'Neill, along with my colleagues Lauren and Quasi. Also with us remotely are, and they're going to be joining us around 8:15, I believe, is the expected time frame. Austin Shepard, he is the co-founder and technology director and the boss at Carbtrol Corp, which is headquartered here in Stratford, Connecticut. Which has been selected to provide the water treatment system, recycling system for the development. And also Brandon Burke, he's National Sales Director of DNS Car Wash Supply, which has been selected to provide the truck wash systems, is familiar with it. So they're both are going to be available should the commission have any, for Q&A period, should have any questions of them with or the public through the chair. With respect to the water treatment system and recycling system or the truck wash system. The site was acquired in 2 years ago in 2024 and was selected by our clients because it would serve customers and their trucks already in the vicinity of the interchange due to the existing TA, Love's, and FedEx operations. Those three major logistics operations here. And those having exited I-84 at interchange 71. Closest competing truck wash facility is in Milford, Connecticut. That's the Flying J Pilot Travel Center right on I-5, exit 40, and is not state-of-the-art with automated washing and street cycling systems like this one. This will be a multi-million-dollar facility. Personal property value alone is estimated at $400,000 for each of the three washing systems. Another $100,000 for the recycling system, or roughly 1.3 million just for those personal property items. The interior of the building. This does not include the cost to erect the self-storage for truck wash buildings. They total 13,000 square feet of floor area. It does not include the cost of land and cost of the site work, which Lauren and Quasi will be reviewing with you in a few moments following me. Clearly, this will be a multi-million-dollar development, which will generate appreciable real property and personal property tax for Willington, consistent with what you, as a planning commission, wearing your hat, would like to see through your plan of conservation development for this area. We believe this use is complementary to the travel center, logistics, and truck-related uses in the DC zone presently operational at this interchange. Will not have an adverse impact on the environment, the neighborhood, or traffic, and traffic component will be again discussed by Mr. Bertucci. Last July, the Planning and Zoning Commission determined, based on section 5.4, that a state-of-the-art truck wash facility could go forward as a special permit use in the DC zone, without the necessity of zoning text amendment. And the following day, Mike D'Amato gave us a call and indicated to us that the commission would like to have consider two things. One was that we approached that our clients approached the budding property owner, who actually sold them the land, to see if there's ability to acquire additional land to the north, continuing up Polster Road on the right side, past the proposed facility, to acquire a portion of that. And after multiple attempts by our clients and their attorney, they were unable to negotiate with the butter and have concluded the property is not available for purchase, thus ruling out that design option that the commission, through Mike, asked us to review and explore. Also, on that July 16th date, when Mr. D'Amato contacted us, he indicated that the commission strongly urged the applicant to consider the viability of designing the site to accommodate a second commercial land use, given that less than 2% of the community's parcels are zoned commercial or industrial development. And we have taken this recommendation to heart, and the site plan depicts the proposed state-of-the-art truck wash facility, 10,000 square feet plus, as well as the second building, a 3,000 square feet storage building served by Mahaliak Road and easterly of the Showcase Service Center. We believe there is demand in Willington for a self-storage facility, roughly 600 square feet units, and in our proposal, we have 5. The site improvements will occupy 4.3 acres. That's 35% of site. So let me repeat that. About 35% of the site is being occupied by these 2 developments. The first one, the truck wash, state-of-the-art truck wash operation, and the second being a self-storage facility. That's 4.3 acres or 35% of the 12-acre site. Thus, there will be approximately 8 acres or 65% of the site, which will be left undisturbed after both facilities are erected. This undisturbed habitat includes all the property's wetlands, the 2 ponds and a stream, some meadows, and a large forested area. The Inland Wetlands Watercourses Agency approved our wetlands application on May 18th, and Quasi and Lauren were present for that. The proposed low profile truck wash facility building that Mr. Lamson will be describing shortly is again low profile. It's about half, it's less than half the height that's allowed in that zone. And it's although it has 25 feet front yard setback requirement, it has been set back 137 feet from Polster Road. That's at its closest point, corner of the building. And that's across from Love's. Mr. Lamson has designed it with no windows facing the residential zone adjacent to it, to the north. And the masonry building, as Mr. Lamson will describe, is also set back 355 feet from Mahaliak Road and 80 feet from the closest abutting property line to the north. And incidentally, their house to the north, and that's property owner from whom they purchased property, their house is 500 feet from the building and nearly 700 feet in this development. And the buildings are nearly 700 feet from the rear property line where the forest is going to remain. The building is set down in somewhat of a bowl and thus will be less visible off-site. Our landscape architects developed a plan specifying native and adaptive plant materials that are beneficial. Again, that's Barbara Schmidt, licensed landscape architect, that are beneficial to wildlife and pollinators, enhance the screen of development, and complement the remaining undisturbed trees and shrubs on the site, that 8 acres. Lauren will review the landscape architectural plan in a moment, and the proposed storage building, which is again low profile, but same height as the other building, is offset 61 feet from the Mahaliak Road right away. Tony and Juliana's development facilities proposed to have roughly 10,000 square feet building. The truck wash building contains 3 truck bays and a wastewater recycling system to process all truck wash. No contaminated wastewater discharge site's stormwater system, and the noisiest component of truck wash is a blower system. However, to my knowledge, you're not having it, right? And our clients have selected a system which does not have blowers, so it would be the most quiet option for the system with respect to external sounds contained entirely within the closed structure. So I will now be followed by Lauren Mello, our director of operations at DPI and a licensed professional engineering certificate in Massachusetts. And also Quasi Cousins will also be participating to review our civil engineering design elements. And then it'll be followed by Mark Bertucci with respect to his traffic engineering analysis. And finally, the best say for last, Alan Lamson is going to discuss his buildings, his architectural design components. Incidentally, Mr. Bertucci has prepared a comprehensive traffic impact study for proposed development, and he's disclosed that it's not a significant impact, but I'll get into that on traffic operations in the study area, but I'll let him get into further details. And as we stated previously, the vast majority of customers for the truck wash will be those already exiting interstate interchange 71. With all of those, its many services in place, serve those trucks in the logistics industry. And Mr. Isabai, Tony, who is here, has been a professional truck driver for a long time. He knows it. He's been to these facilities here, driving a truck. He knows how they operate, the mentality of truck drivers and how their companies operate. And he's fully aware of that. And he influenced our design for this facility greatly, along with its sister, Juliana. So without further ado, just may I turn it over to Lauren. Very much.
Thank you, Peter. I'm gonna be sitting just because it's a little easier for presentation. The director, my name is Lauren Mello, licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut. This special permit application has been prepared to be in full compliance with sites, with town site plan requirements. The submission package includes narrative statement, complete set of site plans, a stormwater management report, prepared by DPI, and a traffic impact study prepared by Hudson Mill. The wetlands delineation reports were prepared by Ian Cole and previously submitted as part of the IWWC application, which was approved on May 27th. During the regulated activity permit process with IWWC, we received technical comments from Nathan L. Jacobson and Associates, the town's engineering consultant, on May 11th. We submitted a formal response to comments letter on May 13th that directly addressed each item, and the plans included in this PZC special application fully resolved Jacobson's concerns. The septic system was just approved by Eastern Highlands Health District on July 1st. And the project also complies with the Willingtons, as well as the Willingtons wetlands requirements. It also complies with the Connecticut Deep Soil and Erosion Sediment Control Guidelines and the 2024 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Design Manual. And upon approval of this application, we will revise the plans in the stormwater report and traffic report if or as needed, and submit the plans in the stormwater report to Connecticut Deep for the Connecticut stormwater general permit. We understand that that approval from this agency does not relieve us of responsibility to obtain all of the required local, state, and federal and/or federal permits. Peter mentioned some of this before. The site is accessed from Holster Road on the western boundary and Mahaliac on the southeastern boundary. The site is formerly farmland and is currently features large boulder piles, a gravel drive, several stone walls, and 2 man-made ponds. There are 2 main open fields. The first is the northern field, which is approximately 5 acres, and the second is the southern field, approximately 1 acre. These clearings are predominantly covered in dense upland grassland and are connected by a narrow strip here between 2 wetland areas, and then there are also 2 man-made ponds on site, one right here and one on the southwestern area of the site. Overall, the property drains from the northeast here to the southwestern corner down to here. It's located in the Roaring Brook Subregional Drainage Basin. And as I mentioned, a narrow farm drainage way, which you can see in this line that kind of bifurcates the site, runs between the 2 fields and connects the ponds. Here are 2 examples of the existing field. These were taken in, I believe it was December of last year. For proposed activities, the proposed area of disturbance is approximately 5 acres to construct the site. This includes clearing, grading, and construction of impervious surfaces, and of course, the construction of the commercial truck wash and the storage building. The entire site expects approximately 11,000 cubic yards of excess or cut material. Imported material will be primarily for roadway and structural based products and stormwater management areas. So material to construct those improvements. All materials are expected to meet Connecticut DOT or deep water quality standards or guidelines. Importantly, and we highlighted this during IWWC, there are no direct disturbances to any delineated inland wetlands or water courses. And all grading and construction activities have been designed to minimize encroachment into the regulated area and avoid the wetlands as much as possible. Focusing on the northern portion, the truck wash, the 10,000 square foot building is located on the larger clearing. It features 3 bays, as Peter mentioned. 2 are 15 to 20 minute automatic cycles, and 1 bay is a 60-minute hand washing cycle. The entry driveway was deliberately designed to meander, allowing for an 18-foot wide truck queuing lane. on the left-hand side as you pull in, and a 12-foot wide bypass lane for service vehicle use, whether that is trash pickup or septic service, or as we'll mention later, wastewater collection services. The facility is designed for unidirectional traffic with one entrance and one exit along Colster Road. The building has one small waiting area and office and a single stall bathroom and mechanical space. Retaining walls, you can see that white line, the two white lines on the screen, are proposed to accommodate steep and moderate site grades. There's also curbing, 3 parking spaces here, one's ADA compliant, and an enclosed dumpster pad alongside it in the northern area of the site. And then entry and facility signage is placed along Colster Road. The entry sign will be down here. It's not quite shown on this page. Peter touched upon this. In terms of wash water management from the building's operations, what's happening to the truck wash water? A car-controlled truck wash water recycle system will be installed to treat and recycle wash water. Inside the truck wash, there will be floor drains to fully divert wastewater to the car-controlled recycle system. This system reclaims, treats, and recycles the wash water, conserving water and reducing or eliminating contaminated discharge. The water reclamation is rated at 95 to 80% efficiency based on the composition of wastewater. So in other words, only 5 to 20% of the wash water would be considered waste. The rest would be reused for other washes. There was a question during IWWC's meeting regarding winter salt removal. And as Peter mentioned, Austin Shepherd, the founder of Park, will be on later to answer any further questions. However, to give you like a brief overview of how it works now, the Park system does not remove salts. However, most systems are equipped with a conductivity or total dissolved solids meter, which is circled in that red circle in the middle screen. That reads the fluorides and the TDS levels. Flow down, which is basically water replacement, would be required for excessive salt levels. So during heavy winter operations, flow down or water replacement will occur every 2 to 4 weeks or whenever the levels say that it needs to be. And then wash water that is considered waste, so that 5 to 20% that cannot be recycled, is directed to subsurface tanks. They're in these blue rectangles right here. Each tank has a 4,500 gallon capacity. And our client has already obtained a draft contract with Skip's Wastewater Removal Services to have these tanks pumped regularly. And because it's contained, there will be no discharge to either stormwater or to wastewater systems on site. So all of the waste from the truck wash will go to one or both of those tanks and be removed from site. Getting into the other utilities, the truck wash will also be served by a domestic well. We show it in this blue circle down here. With a 5,000 gallon storage tank to its left. And as I mentioned before, the septic system that you can see in green has already been approved by EHD, the local health department. And then finally, there will be underground electric, telephone, and or data coming into the site. And those are the orange and red lines that you see on the site. And later on, you'll hear about the stormwater management piece and when Casey speaks to that. Moving into the storage facility. This is a 3,000 square foot, 5-unit storage building, which is situated on the smaller 1 acre southern clearing that's accessed exclusively from Halia. The bituminous driveway includes a 2-space parking area down here. And overhead electric is proposed from a Mahalia pole. It's this line running perpendicular to the building from an existing pole. The stormwater sedimentation swale here, you'll hear a little bit more later, will also provide water quality for this building. The building is not planned for water or septic services as its function is supposed to be only for storage, not for business. Regarding overall site lighting, the site plan is intended to fully meet Willington zoning requirements. All fixtures will be fully shielded and directed downwards to eliminate glare and prevent light from leaving the property. And no unshielded sources will be visible from any property line or neighboring home. Earlier, Mike D'Amato noted that the building fixtures need to be fully shielded. What we submitted was, we overlooked that. So we will revise the plans and provide, fully shielded fixtures on the building to comply with that standard. Fixtures are all within the allowed height limits and are focused on illumination of parking areas, driveways, and walkways, for safety. And it's designed to provide adequate controlled lighting without creating a nuisance. You'll see that any light spillover is just over the property lines, at the driveway, entrances or exits, which is acceptable. And then before we move into, landscaping, we wanted to just have a discussion about, an alternatives analysis that we did early in the conceptual phases of this project. And this analysis was performed to ensure that we arrived at a layout that's both practical for the site's intended use and to minimize impacts on any regulated areas. So as Peter mentioned, the storage building was not part of the original proposal. During the zone change process, the Planning and Zoning Commission encouraged the inclusion of an additional revenue generating use to support the town's economic development goals and help ease the residential tax burden. So in response, the applicant has added the 5-unit storage building, and we carefully evaluated its placement to keep it as far away from wetlands as possible while also allowing functional access from Mahaliac. For the truck wash building, we evaluated several possible options on this northern clearing. A functional queuing lane is essential for this type of operation to prevent trucks from backing up on the Ulster. And after testing different configurations, we determined that the current location provides the best balance of building placement, long queuing capacity, and safe truck circulation for this site. So for example, we considered locating the truck wash more centrally. Can you see my cursor? However, this option was unworkable because it did not allow for sufficient room for the required queuing lane and truck movements. We also studied flipping the driveway layout and access points. Unfortunately, there is a pinch point down here with the wetlands, and the building did not fit in this area, so we couldn't flip the site and allow for that long queuing lane with the building in the more southern area. And then finally, we explored the possibility of constructing a driveway or a bridge connection between the northern and southern portions of the site to create a secondary access point to Mahaliac, so have pass-through traffic through the site. This alternative was ruled out because it would have resulted in direct wetlands impacts, specifically down in this area, and eliminated the ability to construct a storage building, which was requested. And it created an unsafe truck turning and queuing conditions, especially on Mahaliac. So in summary, after thoroughly reviewing these alternatives, the current site plan represents the most functional and efficient layout for the site. It successfully meets the operational needs of the truck wash and storage facility while achieving the greatest avoidance of regulated resources and the least overall environmental impact. For landscape design, we approached this to stabilize the site, enhance and screen visual appearance, and strengthen the natural buffer adjacent to the wetlands. We're proposing a combination of native and adaptive plant materials that are beneficial to wildlife. This includes trees like autumn blaze maple, arborvitae, eastern red cedar, white spruce, and pin oak. The evergreen trees are placed along the road just outside the site easement line. Going back here, this is a site easement line that's in effect for Love's transit out of their site. So trees are not placed within that sight line, but there is a buffer zone provided here with evergreen screening in addition to the existing trees to remain. Native large variety rhododendrons are used in the buffer area on the existing slope for additional screening. That's up here, I believe. And native inkberry shrubs are included as foundation plantings. Shrubs such as red twig dogwood, Forsythia, and eastern red cedar trees are included within the existing grasses in an upland or view area to improve habitat value and slow down stormwater for improved infiltration, creating a healthier design for the wetlands nearby. And then in addition, there are specialized seed mixes, including conservation or wildlife mix for erosion control and wetland seed mix for the detention basins and water quality basins. Finally, all disturbed areas will be promptly stabilized with temporary and permanent seeding. Erosion control blankets will be installed where needed, and there will be mulching to prevent erosion. The landscaping is specifically intended to filter runoff, reduce erosion, and create an attractive low maintenance appearance. It also has wildlife value with habitat and food. And with that, I'll hand it over to Lacey to talk through erosion sediment controls.
Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Faith Cousins. I'm a project engineer with the design professional team. So the erosion and sedimentation measures were designed and selected in conformance with the 2024 Connecticut guidelines for soil erosion and sediment control and revised for the town of Willington requirement. The proposed measures include inlet protection at all the catch basins and drainage structures, stabilize construction entrances to minimize tracking of sediments onto adjoining local and state roads, installation of temporary barrier protection, single row silk fencing for disturbances greater than 50 feet from the wetland, and double barriers for disturbances within 50 feet or near to the wetland. Also included are designated soil stockpile areas with silk fencing to reduce erosion, and temporary sediment traps and diversion soils capturing tree runoff before discharge to the wetlands. These are intended to be in the location of the permanent drainage depression and the water quality basin. Once grading is complete, temporary or permanent measures will be applied, including seeding, erosion control on slopes, and mulching. These controls are designed to minimize erosion and sediment loading, thereby protecting the sensitive wetland areas. The plans also include regular inspection and maintenance requirements during construction in line with the Connecticut General Permit. The contractor will be required to maintain erosion and sediment control measures during construction with inspections and repairs as needed. Given that there are no direct impacts of delineated wetland areas, this approach to erosion and sediment control is proposed to ensure that the development results in minimal temporary disturbance to the regulated areas. For the stormwater management, the system was designed in compliance with the 2024 Connecticut Stormwater Manual. Based on the guidelines specified, stormwater runoff from proposed development should have peak runoff rates that are equal to or less than the existing rates for the design storms evaluated. These include the 2-year, 10, 25, 50, and 100-year storm events. As referenced before, the relief or spot of the site generally slopes from the northeastern property boundary southwest. The wetlands and water course also follows this general trend, terminating at the lower pond for discharge to a 15-inch reinforced concrete pipe, which is assumed to connect to the drainage system from Mahali Brook. The site is part of the subregional basin for the Roaring Brook, which is part of the major basin for the Thames River. For this development, 5 design points were considered to determine stormwater flow in existing and proposed conditions. If you imagine the wetlands are connected across the grass strip that separates the wetlands, to the north, design point 1 considers stormwater runoff to the northern wetland boundary. Design point 2 considers runoff to Poster Road. On the south side, design point 3 considers stormwater runoff to the southern wetland boundary. Design point 4 considers runoff to an existing 30-inch reinforced concrete pipe, and design point 5 considers stormwater runoff to Mahali Brook. In existing conditions, its distinct sub-watershed areas were identified. Using HydroCAD modeling system, NOAA Atlas for Safety Precipitation, and NRCS soil data, stormwater runoff was evaluated for each design point, then assessed for the overall lot. Similarly, in proposed condition, the design points were maintained and runoff evaluated with regards to proposed grading. As such, 11 distinct sub-watershed areas were identified. Comparison of the existing and proposed models revealed an increase in runoff prompted by an increase in the impervious surface. For this development, the stormwater management system is intended to attenuate stormwater runoff to the maximum extent practicable, preserve existing drainage pathways, limit disturbance in the upland areas, and eliminate any disturbance to the water course, overall preventing degradation of water quality through sediment loading. This was achieved by employing a series of drainage depressions and a water quality basin with associated landscaping, pit recall, pipe networks, and a hydrodynamic separator as a water quality measure. The system works by leveraging the natural terrain. Drainage depression 1, which is to the north, accepts overland flow from an extensive drainage area which extends beyond the property line to the north, runoff from the adjacent pavement areas and roof of the truck wash, which is then conveyed to drainage depression 3, which is the large one in the middle. Drainage depression 2 accepts bypass flow from the upland areas, parts of the retaining wall, and most of the flow from the bituminous drive before discharge to drainage depression 3. Drainage depression 3 also accepts flow from the catch basin, which captures stormwater runoff from the remaining sections of bituminous drives and grass areas. Before this flow, as described, is discharged drainage depression 3. It first flows to a manhole which directs flow through a hydrodynamic separator or water quality control unit for removal of suspended solid. From the water quality unit, stormwater runoff is then discharged to drainage depression, which in turn regulates peak flow stormwater runoff rates to a start pad for velocity reduction before conveyance along the existing drainage pathways to the delineated wetland area. The drainage depressions work in tandem to reduce peak flows from the overall site for all the storm events considered. The water quality unit is used to treat the water quality flow rate in lieu of retaining the water quality volume as allowed in the stormwater quality manual. This ensures total suspended solid removal for determined water quality flow rate per the 2024 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual. On the south side of the lot, the water quality basin accepts stormwater runoff from the roof of the storage building and adjacent pavement areas, providing adequate forebay and wet pool storage to satisfy the 10% storage volume required for the forebay and 90% storage volume required in the wet pool as required before discharge to the wetland area. For this model, we are not taking credit for infiltration. It is designed to have a wet bottom. So the underdrain system is proposed to control groundwater under the slab of the storage building. As shown, the system is intentionally designed to bypass the water quality basin and forebay area, directly conveying flow to the outlet control structure. This minimizes blending groundwater with sediment-laden surface runoff and has the added benefit of avoiding any risk of backups in the pipe if it were to be discharged directly to the basin. To further regulate stormwater discharge for each of the drainage depressions and the water quality basin, outlet control structures were modeled. This involves rear walls with openings at varying elevations to optimize drainage or basin storage by controlling discharge for the design storms evaluated. An access road is also provided to facilitate maintenance of these outlet control structures for drainage depression 2 and 3. Our findings, proposed peak runoff rates are less than the existing rates for each design point except design point 2 and design point 5. That's runoff to Poster Road and Mahaliak Road respectively. For design point 2, peak runoff rates exceed the existing in the 2-year storm events, while for design point 5, runoff rates are exceeded for all the design storms. This is by virtue of the driveway aprons in relation to the proposed grades. This de minimis increase in stormwater runoff is not expected to result in a detrimental impact to the subsequent downstream drainage system. While a reduction was not achieved at these design points, there's an overall reduction in the peak stormwater runoff from the entire site. Additionally, the total flow from the site during a 2-year storm event will be reduced by 50% when compared to the existing as recommended. In terms of long-term maintenance operation, the storm drainage system is maintenance operation is provided on the ENS plans for pavement sweeping, pipe outlets, catch basins, outlet control structures, the water quality basin, forebay, water quality unit, and drainage depressions. This includes specific instructions for each measure, rates of inspection, sediment removal, dewatering, and larvicide application as required. The plans are revised per Town of Willington's recommendations, and no further engineering comments have been provided at this time.
Thank you, Gracie. Martin?
Good evening, I'm Mark Bertucci. I'm Senior Transportation Engineer at Puffin O'Neill, located at 1 Financial Plaza in Hartford. also a registered professional engineer in Connecticut and a registered professional traffic operations engineer. We did prepare a traffic study for this proposed facility. We just want to briefly describe our findings for you here this evening. Just again to orient you to the site, site located on the easterly side of Polster Road. The entrance is going to, into the truck wash is going to be located opposite the Love's middle exit driveway, the truck exit driveway. The exit driveway, the truck wash will be located just south of the Love's truck driveway. And the storage facility driveway will be about 560 feet east of the Mahaliac-Polster Road intersection. As part of the study, we did look at 8 intersections in the area denoted by those green circles. And so those include each of the 3 Love's driveways, the Polster at Mahaliac, the Mahaliac at I-84 westbound ramps intersection, Lothey Road at Mahaliac Road, and then Ruby Road at the Turnpike Road and FedEx Access Drive, and then lastly the I-84 eastbound off ramps to Ruby Road. Next slide. So we did conduct turning movement traffic counts, new counts at each of those intersections in January of this year on a weekday. We found the morning peak hour traffic was 8 to 9. The afternoon was 4:15 to 5:15. So we subsequently analyzed those peak periods for impacts. We then grew those counts to an assumed 2028 build or design year using a growth factor provided by the Connecticut DOT, which is 0.8% per year. Now, as far as the traffic we expect to be generated by this development, it's going to be a very low traffic generator. The projected trips for the 5-unit storage facility were based on guidance in the ITE trip generation manual, which is an industry accepted resource for determining traffic generation. And as you expect for a facility that's only 5 units, maximum peak hour generation would be 1 vehicle in and 1 vehicle out in the morning and afternoon peak hours. Now for the truck wash facility, there is no land use code in the ITE manual, so we based our traffic projections off of information provided by the applicant as far as how many trucks we can physically process per hour in this facility. And what we found is we'd be looking at about 14 truck trips during the morning and afternoon peak hours. So 7 trips in, 7 trips out. And that's coming from the 3 bays. So you got 2 automatic bays washing about 3 trucks each per hour. So that's 12 trips. And then the 1 manual bay washing 1 truck per hour. So there's another 2 trips per 14 trips. And then we also conservatively assumed employees may change shifts during those peak hours. So it's another 4 trips, 2 cars in, 2 cars out. So if you add them together, 18 trips for the truck wash in the peak hour, 2 trips for the self-storage facility. We're looking at overall 20 morning and afternoon peak hour trips here. Now it's important to note, even though that's not a big number, the number is really actually lower. The trips we're adding to the road network is many of these trips are just going to be pass-by trips. They're vehicles that are already going to be on the road network, trucks already going to the FedEx or the Travel America or the Love's facility, and then they just divert into the truck wash, wash their vehicle, proceed, and go over to the Love's or wherever they're going, and then get back on the highway. So many of these trips are pass-bys. We conservatively assume 70% of the trips are pass-by for the trucks, and only 30% are new trips on the road network. So when you factor that in, we're looking at 10 new trips in each of the peak hours, or 5 new cars per hour. So we're looking at one new vehicle on the road network in 10 to 12 minutes. So again, talking very low numbers here. This is a very low generating facility. If you look at it on a daily perspective, get about 280 total trips throughout a 24-hour period. But again, 186 of those pass by, they're already on the road network. So we're looking at about 94 new trips a day, or 47 cars and trucks new on the road network, spread out again throughout 24 hours. Next slide. So we took those trips, we added them to the existing traffic volumes out on the road network, compared before versus after, did a capacity analysis at each of these intersections. And when we do this analysis, as you may know, the analysis rates the intersections based on the report card scale of A to M. So A is a condition of very low delay, efficient traffic operations, level service F is high delay, congestion, stop traffic. Typically, the Connecticut GMT considers level service D or better as an acceptable operation. What we found here, as you can see on the screen, all of the intersections in the study area operate efficiently today at level of service A, B, or C. And when you add in the traffic from the truck wash facility, there is no deterioration in level of service at any of those study intersections. Next slide. Lastly, we did look at safety throughout the study road network. We reviewed site distances from the proposed truck wash exit and the proposed storage facility driveway exit. And what we found is that following the site construction, after vegetation is cleared, grading is done, there will be sufficient site distance looking left and right coming out of each of those driveways. And those site distances will exceed DOT criteria for safe egress. And lastly, on crash history, we did review the latest 3 years of available crash data in the Yukon Crash Repository for the study network. So this is 2022 to 2025. So it includes all the traffic currently accessing the lub since it opened. And what we found is there was no abnormal crash frequencies or severities in the study area, and there were no identifiable crash patterns observed at any of the study intersections. So just to conclude, the findings of our traffic study are that the proposed truck wash and self-storage facility will be a low traffic generator, again, drawing mostly off of existing traffic already on the road network. And this development will not have any noticeable impact to existing traffic operations in study area. And with that, I think we're going to turn it over to architecture.
Alan Lanson.
Good evening for the record. My name is Alan Lanson. I'm president of Bethel Architecture and Planning in Manchester, Connecticut. We were asked to provide a building that would accommodate the 3 car wash lanes as well as all of these equipment associated with it. What we have, as you can see on the plan, is the upper portion of the site of the building would be the 3 truck wash lanes. They would be entering, everybody enters from the rear of the building, pulls into the lane. The lower module across the south side of the building would be a waiting room for people who are there, an office, and then the equipment bay that runs the length of the building, servicing all 3 lanes. We tried very hard to keep the building as low as we could and accommodate all the racks and guides and everything for the car wash. And we've done that with a little bit of extra capacity above before we hit the structure of the building. One of the challenges was this is clearly a very wet operation. And so we didn't want to have a building that would have steel, metal, or any other type of construction material in the lower portion of the walls. So everything that's in here is basically constructed of masonry. It will be all epoxy coated. The flooring, the concrete floor will be sealed We were very careful in laying out the building to make sure all of the drainage is away from the exterior doors, so all of the water in the car wash operation is captured within the building. I should point out that when a truck is pulled in, the doors at each end of the bay are closed during the wash operation to help contain that, and also to not allow any noise that might occur from the truck washing bays to escape to the exterior. The masonry that's on here, which for the building, is a product that includes insulation within the masonry blocks, so that we have a single width of construction, and we meet the energy code with the insulation that's in there. It provides a variety of finishes on the outside, which I'll speak to in just a minute. But it gives us a nice smooth surface on the inside that is impermeable to the water, especially with the epoxy coating. We're thinking long-term maintenance of the interior of the building. We don't want any components in there that will end up being corroded, rusted out, anything that would attract mold or any of that. So we were very careful to do that. Our focus was really on the inside of the building. We did read what's in your zoning regulations regarding what to be done with the outside. We appreciate the fact that Mike sent us an email today with some more explicit guidelines for the exterior of the building, and we will take that into consideration. We will be working on the exterior appearance of the building between now and what we understand will be another meeting subsequent to this one. But on the outside, which you can see, we have the ends of the 3 bays. We have doors into that service bay module where the office and the waiting room are, and enough to break up the facade. Again, on the exterior, we worked with the client, picking colors that match the colors of the Love building across the street. Again, we will revisit that. We'll take a look at it and look at that Love building a little closer and see what we can do to make this a little bit more part of that neighborhood. The building itself is fairly simple. Nothing complex about the structure itself, except the environment that's going to be captured inside of it. All I have.
Alan? Okay, just a few concluding remarks that we've heard from Quasi and Lauren and Mark and Alan. We also have, what comes in that, buddy? Oh, good. You're fellow joined about a half hour ago. Okay, so Austin Shepherd's on and Brandon Burke is also on. So the 2 experts we have with respect to the water treatment and recycling facility and operation, and also the gentleman for the truck washing facility. They're on standby. Should the commission have any questions and answers, looking for answers, Q&A session. So they're available to join us momentarily. So we have included the subject project at this location. We believe it's needed. That's on 2 components. There's a need for a truck wash facility to clean the exterior and interior of the trucks visiting the major facilities at interchange 71, 3 that I've described, and of a second storage building with 5 units. And these are consistent with the what we mentioned previously about the economic development and land use provisions containing their planned conservation development. The proposed zoning and uses are in keeping with the neighborhood. Both proposed uses are well separated from residential uses, are consistent with the character and use of existing highway facilities, and particularly Interstate 84, and are in character with the existing likely adjacent structures. Proposed uses are harmoniously grouped on site and with adjoining uses. Traffic volumes will be nominal, and that only 1 new vehicle, as Mr. Bertucci mentioned, is expected every 10 minutes during peak hours and less during off-peak periods. Most customer traffic is already at the interchange, will be coming from or to the interchange's 3 primary logistic facilities. Ingress and egress from our site is well designed. On-site driveway truck queuing is good, leading up to the truck wash building, and the vehicles will not be using residential streets. might want to add one thing, that the self-storage building is not designed to accommodate any tractor trailers and the big rigs that go to Love's. It's designed for, quite frankly, for residential homeowners who might want a self-storage facility or commercial businesses in the area that need approximately 600 square feet of self-storage. And that's for the only purpose. People go there, drop off the items they want to store, or they go pick up some and then they leave. And they're really meant for like small vans, pickup trucks, and passenger cars. So we're not intending to have, and there won't be accommodation for the tractor trailer rigs at that location. However, the course of truck wash can accept the larger rigs. The small septic system and stormwater systems have been designed, as Kwesi mentioned, to achieve health and water quality standards. Our civil engineers and geotechnical engineers, including those from GEI, have already explored the suitability of soils that are acceptable for the proposed development. And there will be a positive impact to the town's tax base. It is, no question, a net revenue generating project. And the ability, with you giving the town enhanced ability to fund community programs straight from your plan of conservation development. There'll be no adverse impact whatsoever to the town's educational and other services, and just help fund it. And generally, this is an appropriate location, will be good for the town. Eastern Highlands Health District, as Lauren mentioned, witnessed our septic testing and has approved the application for a small septic system. And he's part of the development, east of the building, the truck wash building, and the Inland Wetlands Commission also did the application, as Lauren mentioned. We very much appreciate the attention given this matter at PZC's prior meetings, only a number of them, and the invaluable assistance by Mr. D'Amato and other town staff during this development process. Our clients and those of us on the design team appreciate your consideration, and those who are here are available. Also, the two who are here remotely, Brandon and Austin, as I mentioned before, with respect to the water treatment and recycling system. And the public address through the acting chair. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Right now, I'll entertain any questions from commission members.
I do have one traffic question. When you're considering crashes, are those vehicle or individual vehicles? I'm just thinking of the interchange, the westbound option, what is your definition?
Yeah, so the Yukon Crash Repository reports any crashes that have either injuries, fatalities, or greater than $1,000 damage. And that includes single vehicle crashes, vehicle on vehicle, vehicle to pedestrian. Those are all in there. If it's like a really minor fender bender, it might not be reported in that repository.
And just, was there any, I know traffic impact when there is something that happens at that interchange. Has that been calculated into how it would impact this facility as well, or is that doesn't play?
Which are you?
The 84 westbound interchange, when that usually something happens there, it impacts the whole quadrant for hours. Wasn't sure if that was factored into this.
Yeah, we look at normal operating traffic conditions, so you know, the existing volume versus combined, and the before versus after. If it's a it's an emergency situation, then that's a different scenario. But not your traffic study typically analyzes that everyday operation.
Anybody else?
Yeah, one question I had on the stormwater drain analysis was this note we say DP2 and DP5, where stormwater drain runoffs to Polska Mahale Road respectively, neither was a reduction in the 2-year storm flood. So does that mean that the current situation of the road that's in place is able to handle it, which is why you couldn't respectfully get it to minimize in that 2-year flood?
So the idea is for
You should just grab it as stormwater report.
Yeah, I just was curious,
Different
because the town infrastructure that we have in place isn't large enough to handle that capacity, or is something to understand that, no?
I think like the stuff, the flow that we're discussing isn't really high. Or the flow to Poster Road in the 2 years storm in existing condition, it would be about 0.21 cubic feet per second. And the flow to Mahali Road in existing condition would be 0.01 cubic feet per second. So because we're adding impervious area to facilitate the driveway apron and it's naturally graded towards the road, when you have stormwater runoff leaving the site, you wouldn't be able, well, I guess we could, if we did a trench drain, to track all of that runoff. Like it would be very engineering intensive to try to put a drain in front of the driveway to divert the runoff back around. So in the post-condition analysis for the 1.2, the increase is 0.04. So it move up from 0.25 to 0.25. And for the 9.5, it'll move up from 0.01 to 0.10. Is why we say it's like a de minimis increase that it wouldn't affect the subsequent drainage systems because it's just a little bit.
To further just like illustrate it, it's difficult without seeing the map of it. It's, I believe this is 9.5 right here. If this little area at the end of the driveway ramp right there, that will contribute a very slight increase to the roadway network that the existing storm sewer can handle. And then at the other design point, it's this area up here, this like odd shaped rectangular area. And like Quasi said, just adding more infrastructure, it wouldn't affect anything. The systems can still handle it. It's just unnecessary utilities in the roadway that you really don't need for such a little impact.
Anybody else? I've got a few. For the traffic guy, if a semi's coming up Polster, not pulling out of Love's, have you designed that turn to accommodate a long haul cab with a large box? Because we see them coming off of the highway and we see them coming across the bridge. A day rig will make that turn, but a long haul rig has to go over into the next lane. So my question is, somebody with a long haul tractor comes up there and he wants to pull in to get washed. Is there enough turn there so he doesn't go up over on your landscape and such?
The short answer is yes. We designed the site for WD 67. It's the long tractor trailers that you see on the highway. And that truck is run through the site, so it enters into the site. But again, it's unidirectional traffic, so it's just one entrance in, one out.
Right.
So there really shouldn't be another truck waiting in that driveway where he's, and then to come out, the driveway at the top up here, that exit driveway, that mouth is intentionally wide so that it doesn't swing into oncoming traffic or create any kind of issue there. But yes, we did run tractor trailers through the site. There were truck turning plans included in the application package.
Yeah, because you see them on the roads up there and they come to the stop sign and there's no cars in the other lane, but for them to get around that stop sign and pull out, they're halfway into the next lane. So I'm just asking, if somebody pulls in, are they going to be able to clear that and not run over your landscape after you spend money to put it in?
The answer is yes.
Okay. That's what I was looking for.
Thank you.
So who's interested in red stem dogwood? Who's the landscape person?
Barb's not here, our landscape architect. However, Lauren did the presentation for the red stem dogwood.
Yeah, I think there's better choices if you're talking about wildlife. How about the native viburnums? How about hazelnuts?
You've got hazelnuts there already. They're like wild.
Well, but I'm saying, you know,
Yeah, well, I think the silly one was blueberry. I'm sorry to chime in, but
You gotta have one, you gotta have
yeah,
that
just
first.
not yet.
Okay.
And insofar as planting, trees in the landscape, I might suggest columnar varieties of maple, oak, you know, there's all different, most of the tree varieties now have columnar forms. So you don't develop this lollipop that in 5 years obscures your vision. You don't have to have the tree guys come in and cut the limbs off and,
Our landscape architect who designed these, okay? She's also worked with her husband, who's a licensed arborist on the cruise. She understands the trees very well. She's been doing this for a long time. What we're going to do is take your suggestions, bring them back to her. She's extremely well familiar with the species of shrubs and trees and stuff, and what they can do for wildlife.
Yep.
Nesting sites.
me too.
Okay, so maybe she can, well, no, we can't do it separately communication.
No,
But we can go through Mr.
I'll
D'Amato.
leave it to the professionals.
Yeah, so, yeah, we'll take your suggestions and, we will, present those to Barb Schmidt, who's our, project manager, and licensed landscape architect. And I'm sure she'll have wonderful comments with respect to that, whether she agrees or suggests something.
I'm sure she will.
Yep.
Uh,
I know that's a long time.
For the areas, there's an area just south of the building where water is going to accumulate. And, you know, it's in your plan, are you planning to have a living biomass in that area? Or are you going to go the inexpensive way to just let the water sit there and hopefully have it percolate slowly into the ground? Because if you have a living biomass there like cattails, that biomass will take and neutralize an awful lot of the oils and things like that coming off of your roadway. And I think that's really important. We may not be dealing with major wetlands on the area, but organic matter has been shown to be very effective breaking down oil products.
I agree with you. We're going to present that to Barb Schmidt and our engineers and get back to you because we know this is being continued. So we'll come back with a response from Mr. D'Amato.
Okay,
So that it can be made available to you in advance of the hearing,
okay.
extended hearing.
Can I get one more from you guys?
Oh, please, no, please, you keep. We love to hear it. Go ahead.
So somebody was talking about the EC in the wastewater.
Yeah.
So what's your threshold on the EC for salts?
Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to turn that over to Austin Shepherd, who's the boss down there, Carb Control in Stratford, Connecticut. And he's on, if we could recognize him so he can speak. Oh, he's on. You could kindly discuss that, address that question, Mr. Shepherd?
You should be able to unmute.
Let's see here.
And unmute. Austin, have you unmuted yet?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
He's there.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, my name's Austin Shepherd. I'm the technical director at Carb Control Corporation. We're located in Stratford, Connecticut. I'm also a registered professional engineer, and we've done quite a few of these truck wash facilities. Most recently, we've done about 8 truck wash, drive-through truck wash for the New Jersey Turnpike. With your question about dissolved solids and salts, that obviously is an issue, particularly in the winter. To understand how the system works, basically we're using recycled water that's going through a pretty elaborate treatment process, activated carbon and what we call advanced oxidation. That basically controls all the organic contaminants in the water. But during a normal washing, there will be an accumulation of dissolved solids, salts in the system. The system itself has what we call a TDS, total dissolved solids monitoring system set up to online measure and monitor the concentration of dissolved solids, total dissolved solids, which it would include road salt. So in a normal operation, basically you're going to be washing the vehicles with treated recycled water. And then just as in a normal car wash, the last operation in the wash is to do a freshwater rinse. So that obviously generates excess water inventory and thus the need for haul off here at this particular facility. But the freshwater rinse also provides some attenuation with regard to salt buildup. So you're on a regular basis adding fresh water to the system and blowing down treated wash water that contains salt that's been washed off the vehicles. So normally we have the system set up, the amount of the control point for handling the dissolved solids or blowing down the system is normally somewhere around 2,500 to 3,000 parts per million. So we can have the system set up to manually allow that blow down, or can also be set up to automatically blow down. And when you blow down, of course, the inventory then would be made up with the freshwater rinse. Does that pretty much answer your question?
Yeah, it's just it's basically an automated system that alerts you if the ECs are getting too high.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I have a question about the septic person. Was the septic, since you're going to have truckers going in and out, they may want to empty their gallon P bottles somewhere. So has that system been designed to take into account that there's going to be more than just the people working at the facility using that system? And is it going to be is it going to be large enough to handle the expectations?
So, facilities with size for septic are based off the usage, so this is a commercial use. Quaison gives you actual numbers on the number of gallons per day. And we did have this conversation with our client about, truck drivers coming in using facilities, and the intention is for them
Yeah.
not to. And the waiting area is primarily just for waiting. Again, there's two bays that are automatic cycles, which are be 15 to 20 minutes. And then there's one that's an hour. So the reality of somebody coming in and emptying their waste is very low, especially if there are staff on site monitoring, that sort of thing.
Well, my question is,
And I don't think that 14 truckers an hour times, 2 high peak hours would be contributing that much waste to the system.
well, it depends on what form the waste is on site. I mean, if they walk out of the bay after they get their rigs into the bay, they walk to the end of the building and they drop their half gallon or gallon P bottle there. I mean, that's what we contend with. We've got these two facilities, and I don't want to pick on the truck wash. I'm just asking what the capacity of this, and has it been thought of, because it's an ongoing problem. You know, if you've driven trucks or if you've been in and out of a lot of truck places around the country, it happens.
The current flow rate was 1,000 gallons per day, and the septic system that we went with was a 1,250 gallon.
Okay,
So when we discussed it, we weren't anticipating that the truckers would use the facility, so we just went with the standard design flow rate and then sized it up instead of, choosing a 1,000 gallon.
well, I'm looking at it, there's people that live around the area. And, I'd rather have them use the facility than to throw bottles of bodily fluid on the side of the road. And it happens. We've seen it. We've hosted 2 truck stops for a number of years now. So this isn't Disney World and we're not in a wonderful place. Things like this happen. So I just want to make sure with this facility, and I'm sure the owners want to make sure that they're aware of what the capacity is so they can maintain the septic tank so that it'll get the length of time life that they're expecting for their investment. That's all.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We've had discussion with our client. Our client is an experienced truck driver.
That's correct.
For a
Yep.
number of years. And as you said, the system is required to have 1,000 gallon capacity. It has a 1,200 gallon capacity. There's 20% more. Than what's required. We did anticipate the truckers using the restrooms and stopping there when they are waiting for their trucks to be done. And finally, Eastern Highland Health District approved the site, and they feel like it's suitable for its use. The size and septic systems suitable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's all I've got. Steve, have you got
Hey.
anything?
Yeah, Bob. So my questions are primarily business oriented. I know a lot of the questions here have been technical about the design. Is this the right time and place to ask a few of these?
Well, before you get started, I want to let you know that anything that relates to the business itself, finances and things like that, viability of business plans and all, that is not under our preview.
Okay.
That's between the developer, his banker, his family, whatever they've worked out. It's not for us to decide if they have a viable business plan.
All right. Then I don't have any questions.
Okay. At this point, I'll turn it over to the public. Anybody else before I turn it over?
One general comment is on the storage, five bay storage building. My concern is I'm seeing trucks backing into that yard and spending the night. I really do. So I would almost recommend putting a fence across that gate.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. Because they park alongside the road plenty of times
So
around
you're
there.
thinking like the other storage facility where it's a key card access.
Yeah, something like that,
Something
because I can
really-
see them driving by on Mahalac Road and backing into that and spending the night, setting up camp there.
Our client is amenable to doing that.
I think it would be better for everybody if it's a key
And
card system with a gate.
I guess before I turn it over to the public, I just want to let the public know that we are listening to what people have to say. When this group came with their proposal, and several of the neighbors came in, and one of their concerns was that the trucks are always parking on the local roads. And, I've talked to Mike about this, and I think that we need to address that. I mean, up in Sturbridge, they had that problem and they put no parking signs on the sides of the road. And we've got a little bit of an issue in that area because it's a mix of state roads and town roads. So the state roads, we haven't got jurisdiction there. Town roads, we do. And if there's a consistent issue on the town roads, I think that the town has a responsibility of addressing that so you're not harassed. You know, I mean, it is, in my opinion, it's a form of harassment. Having said that, it's, you know, truckers are truckers and, you know, they're businessmen and things haven't gotten better since TA went to a pay to park scenario either. So I just want to let folks from the area know that we understand that there's an issue and we're going to try to address that in the future. And that's to be determined yet. But we hear that there's an issue and we want to get to take care of that, to alleviate at least that, not part of it. We should be able to alleviate all of it.
I think this truck washing plate is gonna have.
Yeah, so before I turn it over to the public, it's like a regular other meetings that we have in town. State your name, address, and then let us know what your thoughts are. And I'll open that up. I'll start right now. Yep.
I'll go first. My name is Brenda Mahalik. It's Mahalik. My family has lived at Mahalik Road. I own the farm on Mahalik Road. On my way here, there was 4 trucks parked illegally. This is absolutely ridiculous. We have lived in our area, in our neighborhood, within a 1 square mile. We had FedEx. This is going to solve our tax problems. It has not. Then TA came in. Oh, taxes, they'll be low. We'll keep our taxes down and they'll be lower. Did not. Then we had Loves, right, fighting that. Did not keep our taxes down. We have yet to pass a budget in this town. Everybody says we need more business, more commercial development. If you ever travel on Mahalik Road, Holster Road, coming off the exit, heading westbound on 71, you will see accident after accident. The truck drivers have still, after 22 years, not learned that they need to slow down on that rate. I have had emergencies at the farm, animals in labor. We lost 3 sheep this winter. Vet could not get to my farm. I could not get to my farm because Loves had a backup because their gas pumps were running slow that day. People were parked in the road. 20 minutes later, I got to my farm to handle that emergency. The vet was delayed by half an hour because they had to go around and come back the other way. If you guys are talking about that there's going to be no traffic impact, you have not had 20 to 30 tractor trailer trucks going by your property, turning around in your driveway. We had a guy drive over our lawn, drive over our well, because there was a backup at a in 71. We did not get a license plate. We did not get, it was a big box white truck, drove over our lawn, drove over our well, luckily did not damage our well. The impact that we have had in this small little area of Mahalik Road, Holster Road, Turnpike Road, where tractor trailer trucks park wherever the hell they want. Accidents, everything. You don't even know when you're passing if you're going to hit somebody coming on the other side because they have parked all over the place. The environmental impact, I'm not as concerned about. The impact of tractor trailer trucks, the impact to this is a residential area. If my parents and grandparents 96 years ago had known this is what was going to happen to Willington, they would have never settled here. Am I fired up? Am I angry? 100%. I adamantly oppose anything else being added to this area of Willington. If you want it in your area where you live in your neighborhood, go ahead. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, my name is Susan Sturgeon. I live on the Haliac Extension. And she's absolutely right. These trucks, I have nothing against truck drivers. Obviously, they do a good, but you have too much already. You guys are crazy if you think you could just add that in here and nothing happened. We can't even get off the exit to get to Mahalik Road, to get to our road, because we have to sit there and wait for a half an hour because the trucks are backed up. I don't know if they're going into Love or they're parking. One day I went down my road, there was a truck parked, maxed out. It's just a narrow road. There wasn't even a guy in the truck. So he's probably sleeping in back, thinking perfectly okay, parked. I mean, it would be one thing if they followed the rules and respected the area, but they don't. Not all truck drivers are like that, but you do have those that don't. And unfortunately, like her, we are paying the price. The trucks have gone down. I live on a dirt road. Do you know what the road is?
Yeah.
They've gone down it, ripped down cables because they're too tall. People were out without internet. I mean, it's got to stop. Look at the stop sign at the end of my road. It's held up by a bunch of stones because they had to replace it so many times. Go down the road over the bridge. They had to put Jersey barriers. That's at taxpayers' dollars. We paid for that. Same with the signs they keep replacing. Something has to be done. It's adding more trucks. You can say the truck, but it will. And it's already out of control.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yep, John Skojak, Road Extension. My biggest concern, I have nothing against the truck wash. It's a great plan, great idea. It's just in the wrong spot. That obviously that's what we're talking about here. Coming up 320, okay? And you want to take a left on Polster. You got Showcase, the facility, repair facility right there that nobody's even brought up yet. How many trucks park in there? Okay. You take that left. What happens when that traffic is backed up, down Polster onto 320? Coming off, we want to go up Mahalik Road out that way. We have to sit there. We can't. This has happened numerous. I had videos. I used to walk in the winter because I had nowhere else to walk. I walked around all the way around that whole area. There were so many times the trucks were just backed up all the way around, so you could not go up Mahalik Road. People don't live around there, don't understand what it's like. Nothing against, truckers are great people. My brother was a trucker. Nothing against the facility. It's a great idea. It's just not a good spot. That turning on is one lane. You come up 320 to Mahalik, you take that left to go up Polster, there's one lane there. You're going to tell me that there's never going to be trucks added on because of the truck wash back down that way? Yeah. Love's all the time is full. That's why you always see what she was saying. Trucks are always parked on the sides of the road. Half the time it's because Love's is full. I saw it. I have videos of it. So I'm just saying it's just square peg in a round hole. It's just not, it's a great idea, but it's just the traffic in the area. You don't know unless you really live in the area what it's going to be like. And yeah, you can say that there's only going to be people that they're going into TA or they're just passing through traffic. You're going to tell me that people, trucks coming from Mass have to go all the way to Milford. They're going to say, oh, well, we're just going to swing in here to go to the truck wash. We're not planning to go to Love's or TA. We just want to get our truck washed. There's going to be a lot of extra traffic there. I don't know how you can say it's only going to be a couple extra vehicles. It's a low, you can't just assume that. You can assume that, but do you really think that's going to happen? You don't think there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to want to just stop in there just to go to the truck wash, not just going to Love's or TA? There's going to be a lot of other traffic. not necessarily, going just to the truck stops. Which Loves, I think, you go by there, it's not that big. They're jammed all the time. So that's a concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Bob?
Anderson, 30 Villas Road. Question for the traffic person. I noticed you did your study in January. Would the numbers be different if you did it in July?
The answer now or?
Yeah.
Till the end.
Yeah.
So we did look at the January counts, just to compare them to, the DOT counts that are out there on the state roads and off ramps today. The DOT counts were done, I think they were done in the spring, early summer time frame. They were pretty similar. Over the summer, the schools are out of session, so we typically like to not count in the summer unless it's a tourist area or something. So we can get that school traffic in there. So we think it was a time period we counted as representative of typical traffic operations in that area.
I was asking just really for information.
Yep. Sure.
My second concern is always water. Pouring that comes right through where the street drains go underneath in any way end up down in the water. Where do the street drains exit? Put on that. Yes.
I can fix that with my experience with, Loves as part of that project. It's to my knowledge that the street drains in Colster and the Howlack, road drain, it's a reinforced concrete pipe or, concrete pipe across Mahalik. And it goes down along 84, west towards Hartford and discharges on the other side of the street across from Loves. It's not to Roaring Brook behind Loves. That's my understanding of the drainage system. Our study didn't go that far because everything was so contained and everything on our site goes toward the wetlands. I can say for our site, the detention system, the stormwater system that Tracy spoke to with all the different ponds. It is designed to clean any runoff and make it very clean before discharging.
I thought that was good, but there is salt on the road and
Yep.
things like anything on any of the, and there are existing drainage.
Yeah.
I just wondered how much is that. I mean, everything ends up downhill always. Sometimes you have enough soil to filter it. But
Yeah.
I think that was at least have been considered.
Yeah, no, great question. We did our best to collect as much water as we could from the site, to eliminate any kind of, extra sediment or pollution into those drainage systems. We appreciate your question.
I just want to add, just so that you know, Loves does ongoing monitoring of the water quality in the wetlands and in the brooks surrounding their site. And they provide those reports to the town on an, I think, an annual basis now. So the Inland Wetlands Commission reviews the reports. So they've been doing that since they opened, and all of the water quality and temperature and turbidity, all those things have been unaffected by the development, but we have all that reporting that they're required to provide us as part of the town's.
Shirley?
Shirley Ernst, 30 Lots Road. This is gonna be real basic, because I'm trying to get an understanding of what it is. You got this building with 3 places that trucks can get washed. And the water goes into some tank underneath.
5%.
Austin, if you want to talk about the curb patrol, if you're still on. You left, okay. So the truck wash system is all contained. So any water that the truck wash uses will stay within the building.
Well, where'd it go? If it's got a
So-
concrete floor or something?
So, yes, so there's floor drains in the floors that collect the water. It brings it to the carb control system that recycles the water. There's a 5 to 20% waste of that water. That wasted water goes to two tanks that are located on site that store the water until a waste collection company, like Skips Wastewater, will come and pick it up and collect the water and haul it
How
out.
long does that, will they do that?
It depends on how many are being washed. It depends on the season. It'll depend on the type of rate. But it can be anywhere from daily to once every 3 to 5 days, depending. There are two redundant tanks on site. We put two in case like an emergency goes out, whether there's a snowstorm or power goes out or the skips can't get there. There's an extra tank to store that additional waste so the trucks need to get there.
And no guarantee that the tanks won't somehow get a leak?
Right, that's my question.
I mean,
So they're
I'm worried
concrete tanks
about-
and they're painted with epoxy to prevent any kind of leaks.
so there's no chance it would leak.
That's to prevent it.
I'm not going to go on the record saying that there's absolutely no chance because there are unforeseen chances, and that's really unfair to ask the engineer of that. It is designed so that it is self-contained and is not discharging to the stormwater or to the wastewater systems on site.
I worry about the people who have wells in the area.
Yep.
Because I know what happened in Coventry, because my daughter was involved in that. You know everything about what happened in Coventry. With what wasn't supposed to happen. I worry about the environment too, because if there is a leak or if something gets out. We've only got one earth. And we're killing it. So I worry about it. But I also worry, I don't live close to them. I walk that area, but I am worried about other people's wells. But we rely on our wells.
So, may I just add a couple of things, hopefully, lay some of your concerns. First of all, the vendor, Skips is one that already comes to Willington frequently. They're here, just about daily, as I understand it, to service the other area facilities. So they are here anyways. They are licensed by the state of Connecticut to do that. They're required to take it in proper and follow accepted practice for and licensed practice for the vehicles that they use and then how they dispose of it and how it's treated. It's all regulated by the state government. And then they also have there's a commercial permit for that. That has to be secured for that operation. Our firm is civil engineers. For example, Warren and Daniel are licensed civil engineers. We do not deal with that per se. That's an expertise. It's a separate engineering expertise and LEPs, I guess, who deal with that, licensed environmental professionals. So that particular permit is done through DEP, and that's done by a third party, not any of us here. So that is handled with them. It's highly regulated and they have to meet the standards, so that there is no leakage of those tanks and that everything's sealed up properly, and disposed properly.
Any kind of alarm, so if there's a leakage, you know about it?
I'm not familiar with that. We don't deal with that. It's other vendors who do that. We're not familiar with that. But they have to get a permit and it goes to the state and they review it. They have to issue the permits by the state. Let's meet their standards. They have very strict standards.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go. My name is Steven. I have a tree farm on Mahaliac at the corner of the extension. I see some of my neighbors here. So I got a couple of things, but I think first of all, the storage facility, you start there. I know it was added on at a request from the town for more commercial, but I don't think it's a good fit because I mean, already in Willington, you know, it was 1.8 acres. People have sheds, they have space in their backyard. There's not a big need for these more storage. It's an easy thing for you to add on and it checks that box, but I think I'd like to see that space used to address some of the concerns. You know, you talked about how this truck wash would fit for I-84, right? It's right next to the highway. It matches Love's, but we are hearing it's not a good fit for the other side, which is touching, you know, this forest, Nipmuc State Forest. It's touching all these residents. So instead of shoehorning in some storage that Willington doesn't need, like address their concerns, like adapt your design so that we can have something good here, we can have, something that works for both sides. I guess I wasn't even concerned about the runoff before too. I guess I'll mention the watch. You think it rains, everything washes off I-84, every truck, every car, it runs into Boring Brook, But I guess hearing you go at length about, 5% and a change, you're concentrating that runoff. So I guess that makes my concerns more now the more I'm hearing. But yeah, those are, I guess the third thing I'd like to see is I want more for these locals. Like, can they wash their cars here? Is there any option for them to do that? If they're not getting anything out of storage, what else there's here for them? So I guess those are my primary concerns.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, should I respond to that? Sure. Okay, so first, I pick up a couple of points here. And what's your name, Steve?
Steven.
Thank you, Steve. So one thing is, they can get, an automobile could be washed there. That will be the occasional thing. It's really designed for trucks, but someone could go there and pay to have their car washed.
Cars, trucks, us, the machine is designed to scan the people that come through and wash around.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's available. With respect to this self-storage unit, we wanted to have something that had extremely low traffic volume, almost nothing. Because somebody puts in the storage and sometimes they don't come for a couple months, whatever, and some people come more frequently, but it's very, very, very low traffic generation, as Mr. Bertucci mentioned. So we wanted something that's low impact, that we didn't have to accommodate a lot of parking and close proximity to the wetlands. We have zero direct impact on any wetlands on this entire site. And we didn't want to have it so that it would have a large parking facility and more runoff from that. Keep it small and modest. The commission asked for a second one, try to add to the tax base for the town, but with very low impact. And that's what we've come up with. It's clean operation. We're not talking about, because it's not designed for manufacturing, for example. As soon as you open up each unit can have somebody in there all day making things and stuff, you can have contamination. So we have a design not to have bathrooms and not to have an office and not to have manufacturing type operations. There are all kinds of things to be done. We do lots of industrial flex buildings, and they allow such things as machine shop. And there are chemicals that they use. You don't want to have go into the groundwater, into the soil. So we're avoiding that completely by just having a storage facility there. That's the only thing we want to do there. They asked for additional one, and Juliana and Tony readily agreed to do a building like that. It's add a little bit to the tax base. The prime emphasis of this facility is do the truck wash. It's Tony's expertise, and he is this. But they agreed to do that to add on something to the tax base without having an impact. We're already preserving roughly 65% of the site. We're not disturbing. No bulldozers or anything.
Yeah, well, I guess to say something about that.
Sure, go ahead.
You would never get your return on investment if you tried to bulldoze those footage with all the rock and all, that's just kind of a silly thing to say. But I appreciate that though. I should say, I do appreciate the 35-65. There
are plenty of sites. We do them all the time. Communities not too far from here allow up to 80% coverage with impervious.
Yeah.
That's pavement, buildings and everything else, up to 80%. Some communities not far from here where a lot of you guys shop.
Yeah.
And they can do that. So we're avoiding that. This is, well, we're only developing 35%. The rest is not. You can say, oh, it's undevelopable, whatever. It's in the zone. We can do something. We're not interested in that. We only really want to do the truck wash and to respect the request of the town to do another facility there. They've agreed to do the self-storage.
Yeah, I'd like to see something besides the storage. Maybe think about alternatives. Yeah.
Well, with a low impact.
Can I?
Sure.
So I went to rent a storage unit in Willington. Down at the self-storage on 32, there's not a spot there. I had to go to college. So to say that it's not needed, it kind of is. I just did it a month ago. There wasn't one open. I went to town. So If it goes in, I'm sure I'll be a customer.
And if you think these units are a little bit too small or too big, we're open to that. I think gentlemen from FLB, with one of their collection, maybe we can adjust the size a little bit, but we have it with, it's an overhead door for each one. And we think that's good for the tenants who are going to be there. So, you see the old, public storage facilities are really tiny. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to make something that can serve not only residents, but also businesses. And, 600 square feet, you can store a lot of stuff in there. Like, what's the ceiling height you know about? Pardon? So, they're 15 feet. If you know public, I've done enough of these things. They're like 7-foot high buildings. You can walk in there and that's it. You can't have any storage capacity. These will have roughly 15 feet ceilings. You can do cubic storage there. So, which can be very efficient. Low impact, almost no truck traffic, and car traffic, very minimal coming in and out of there. We think if we're going to do a use and the town asks us to use, we're going to do their one. I can't think of anything will have lower impact than that.
What about a solar charger? So like, you're selling them, like, I'm not giving you ideas here. But, like, more traffic for the already existing. I think,
You put a solar array there?
on the, well, I don't wanna go into the proposing things that you could do, but,
We can look at other things. The first phase is to build the truck wash facility.
yeah.
We still can work with the town on what this other thing is, if there's a better idea. They were comfortable with that. We thought it was the least impact possible in the area to do a facility at your tax base with lowest impact possible.
I want to see you do something for the neighbors. If you could be generating power, could you lower their rates? Could you have a more robust grid? Like, what can you do in this neighborhood that these people are going to want?
It's a very small area for that we're developing. If you want to talk about building an array, they tend to require more area, especially if you want to make it available commercial type of array.
Yeah,
It takes a lot more, and we'd be cutting down a lot more trees in order to do that. And be much bigger, and we'd have to go back to wetlands commission, that's for sure, because we have greater impact.
So I just want to jump in to shortcut this a little bit.
Yeah.
The application is for truck wash and the storage building, so we can't plug and play uses and other things. So the commission has to make a decision on the application as submitted. There's certain modifications, revisions that they can talk about and contemplate, but we can't take a whole building off and shove something else in because we noticed this application and people that chose to attend or not attend based on that, we can't substantially alter that and plug something else in entirely at this stage of the game. So we have to consider the application that's here with those uses, minor revisions, yes, but altogether adjustments to that. We can't do that sort of midstream. So I think we want to keep that. So that's the plan that they.
Having been a town planner in many towns, I haven't agreed.
Any other comments from the
Can I just
public?
add one more thing?
Sure.
Just beating up the traffic issue, the only issue that I have
Mhm.
with this. What's gonna happen after I'm not a meteorologist. I don't know what the winter's gonna be like. What's gonna happen around there when there's a big storm, the aftermath of that? How much of that traffic that supposedly isn't coming in, they're only gonna use the facility, is gonna be coming in off the highway just to use that wash after a major storm? Or 2 or 3, who knows how many we're gonna get. Just saying that, there could be, in the course of the winter, there could be some very bad days as far as traffic goes because of that. There's gonna be extra traffic coming through there after a major storm.
And we're here to listen to your
Yep.
concerns.
And that's,
If you'd like me to address that, the facility will be closed in major storm events.
I'm talking about after
We're
it.
talking afterwards, when they go through state and get that stuff that they put on the roads all over their truck, they're gonna wanna wash it off. Even the trucks that don't use the stuff, that go from Boston to New York.
Yeah,
or New York
all the way to
to
Boston.
Constantly, those trucks are gonna go in there and get washed.
So I mean, it's gonna be,
Just like
It's
treated,
gonna
when
be a
you get
cluster
the stuff on your car, you wanna go wash it off.
I'm just, those times were just added on to,
Right.
regular times that we don't know about, but it's gotta be extremely bad traffic in that area After the ride.
With
You don't know what swimming pool weather's gonna be like, but, you know, just saying.
Okay. Any other comments from the public?
Yeah, I can't raise online, sir.
Oh,
One more. Based on the conversation here. Would you be able to require them to widen the road? That seems to be. I don't know, I'm just asking.
at this point, I can't comment on that, Bob.
Yeah.
We're here to hear comments from the public, and we can't give you any feedback right now.
Would you agree, Mount Gap and Ulster are not wide enough? We're trying.
I would stick with my comments at first before we started the public comment. What I said about people that had come and about a lot of tractors parking on local roads. I can't say anything other than that right now. Okay? I'd like to, but that's not the way this works. That's not the way this works. So if there's, online, Ralph?
Oh, good
Ralph.
evening. Good evening, Ralph Tillis, Village Hill Road in Willington. Also own property on Losi Road. I grew up about 2,000 feet from where this project is going to be. And my family settled here before there was an I-84, before there was a Wilbur-Cross Parkway. Just giving you a little insight about how well I know this corner of Willington. I have a number of questions through you, Mr. Chairman, to the applicant that I would hope they can address. And I'll start off with the water recycling process. As I understand it, the recycle is fresh water. It does not come from the recycled batch. Is that correct? This is for the applicant.
We can recognize him, if it's okay with the chair.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Austin Shepherd from Car Control in Stratford, Connecticut. We'll address that question. He appears to be on.
Yeah, normally, I mean, it's obviously adjustable, but normally you will wash with treated water and you'll give a final rinse with fresh water, which basically helps control the spotting on the vehicles.
Okay, understood. Now, my concern here is the concentration of dissolved chlorides. Obviously, the DOT is using a lot of chlorides for de-icing chemicals, be it sodium, magnesium, or calcium chloride. Now, some of those ions, when released into groundwater, can actually be beneficial in certain concentrations. My concern is that after repeated wash cycles using recycled water, that concentration is going to climb. Are you monitoring those concentrations, and where does any old recycled water go if you have to add fresh water to dilute the concentration of chlorides?
Well, first of all, the concentration is monitored continuously.
Understood.
And the adding fresh water in the rinse helps to moderate the buildup of salt, or TDS as we call it, total dissolved solids. But in the winter in particular, when you're washing trucks that are pulling off the road after a storm, you're going to get a substantial buildup of TDS, and that's why the system has a continuous monitoring process that measures the amount of dissolved solids, which include the chlorides.
Understood.
And when the concentration gets above a point where it's detrimental to the washing operation. The system is blown down to storage tanks, and that's what's hauled off-site.
Okay, when, at that point, when you're emptying out your recycled water, because concentrations have gotten so high, do you do 100% replacement of the recycled wash water or only a partial?
You
So,
basically do a partial replacement with fresh water to bring the concentration down to an acceptable level for washing.
okay, so any wash water taken out of that cycle goes into the tanks to be disposed of elsewhere and
Correct.
not on
That's
site.
correct. Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I appreciate
Yep.
that. On to a couple other things. Along Polster Road, there are currently a bunch of used concrete pipes. And their purpose is to inhibit roadside parking, which I'm certain you've heard a lot about that already tonight. And being someone who's spent my entire life in this corner of Willington before there was a truck stop, I've grown to appreciate everyone's angst about what truckers do. You know, I don't want to broad brush all truckers, but some are just, you know, bad penny. Anyway, I think that this property should have a guardrail along its frontage on Polster to inhibit any kind of parking along this facility. That's point number one. Since this is going to be a 24/7, 365 operation, I assume, judging from everything I've heard tonight, there will be no gated entry to this truck wash facility. So, is the entry road wide enough for two trucks side by side? Because if it is, and if the operator, the on-site person is not paying attention, you're going to wind up with a line of trucks parking on your entry drive, unless someone's paying attention to shack them out of there. So I hope you have some plan to deal with that. Now, one thing I was hoping to see with your driveway, and you haven't provided it that I am aware of, is a travel path for the largest size truck that's apt to use this. It would have been nice to, I know there's a software out there that will actually track a travel path for tractor trailers. That diagram should have been in this set of drawings that were presented to us tonight.
If you let me, Chairman, that is included in our plan set that we submitted to planning and zoning. If you give me 1 minute, I can bring it up on the screen.
Okay, it would be helpful to see that. Let me move on to some other issues while you're digging for that.
Questions?
Yep.
Before you do that, Mr. Phillips, with respect to guide rail, it's expected what our client, Mr. Yusufai, has indicated he's willing to do that, but you have to recognize it will be within the town right away. He'll be
That's
on the
understood.
town, part of the town infrastructure. He'll pay for it. He'll install it as part of the development, and that should curtail trucks parking on that side of the road.
Okay, as long
And
as you,
we'll get to those details eventually.
Yeah.
that's it's an issue. That's all. I just want to make sure.
Here to address the commission on that at the next hearing.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, let me see what I can see on the screen here.
So I'll zoom in. We show ingress because that's the tighter turn to get into the site rather than getting out. And you can see the tractor trailer, it's a WB 67. We also ran a fire truck apparatus, the largest that the program would allow through AutoCAD's auto turn program, into the site. I'll see how choppy it is. We brought it up through the site. And it goes up to the truck wash. And again, we didn't show the turning out, but we have that information as well. So it's not on the screen currently.
Was that WB 67?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
The big.
And then on the left is the fire truck, emergency vehicle maneuvering.
Okay, I'm still going to be concerned about trucks. If that's 2 lanes wide, which it appears to be, there will be some. I'm going to try to be polite with respect to truck drivers, but there will be an occasional truck driver who's not going to want to pay to park, and he's going to pull in and park. If a truck can get by him, that's their problem. I've met a lot of these guys under adverse circumstances, having grown up in this area. I know what they can be like. The ones I don't meet are the good truck drivers. Anyway,
If I may address that, when the facility is open, they will have on-site staff who will tell them they have to move. They're not going to be allowed to park.
I understand. You're at
The
the
only
mercy.
people who are in line and queue to go through the truck wash, all others will be prohibited, and the staff will not allow them to park there.
Okay. Well, let's hope. Let's hope that works. As far as the dry storage building, I have mixed feelings about that. I don't know the size of the compartments that would be leased. And I really don't have much to say about that. Initially, in your introduction to this project, the attorney mentioned a special exception request. I'm not clear on what that is, because a special exception is generally issued by the ZBA, not by planning and zoning. So if you could explain that, or was that simply a misstatement of a special permit?
You want to comment on that, Mike?
I'm looking to see if it's in the narrative, but it's a special permit. They didn't do anything with the ZBA, probably.
No, I know, but he had mentioned special exception, Mike. That's why I'm asking.
I don't recall saying it, but by the way, in some communities, special exception and special permit are interchangeable terms, but yeah, we meant the special permit. That is the requirement of the regulations, and the commission has the right to approve one.
Okay, I'll move on. One of the early slides, you talked about the Eastern Highlands Health District approved the system. On the slide, it said May 27th, but I believe that the date mentioned in the presentation was July 7th or July something. That might be a typo. For any screen plantings that would be evergreens, I would strongly recommend something deer resistant, because they got very hungry this past winter. And I've seen a lot of arborvitae that really got decimated. Now, with the traffic study, did the traffic study account for traffic that normally would have been going to TA and from westbound and getting back? No, excuse me. Traffic going to TA that would normally be going eastbound, returning to the highway and heading back east. But since the truck wash is on the other side of the highway, have you factored in any shedding of traffic from TA going over to the truck wash and then back across the highway and getting on eastbound again? That again exacerbates the traffic flow in that area, particularly for trucks. I've seen some really bizarre things done by truck drivers over the course of my life in this corner, and they do some pretty stupid things. And at this point, I think I've made all my statements with respect to some of the technical details. I wish this commission luck and
You need some more
courage.
time, maybe.
No,
You want to address that? No, hang on, Ralph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so to address that question, I did mention we factored in pass-by traffic in the study. So 75% of the trucks being passed by, so they're being drawn from the existing road network, either currently accessing the TA, FedEx, or the WUB. So to answer your question, yes, we did take a portion of those trips currently accessing those and direct them into the site and then back out and onto the highway as part of this.
Okay, with respect to the comments made about crashes here, there was a fair period of time And this is the westbound exit, where a truck would get off the highway, come around the exit ramp, and catapult directly across Mahanock Road. There were incidents there on a basis of about one a month of that nature, either an overturned truck or one that just didn't stop at the stop sign and either ran into the fence or went over the bank on the opposite side. So, and we just had never mind, that was a on the highway incident just a while ago. But trucks are a problem in this corner, and now we have to live with it. And anything this commission can do to somehow get this under control and minimize the errant truckers going off on local roads or shortcutting from local roads over to these facilities would be much appreciated by the people who live here. Anyway, I think I've run out of stuff to say at this point. Whatever you do with the public hearing, if you continue it or close it tonight, I wish you good luck in evaluating this. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ralph. Any other comments from the public at this point? If not, to better facilitate the residents of Willington and for us to hear a little bit more from the developer, as well as several members that aren't here, I'd like someone to make a motion to continue this public hearing till our next meeting.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing.
Here a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
That'll be 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
21st. Everybody's available. If needed, so we'd like for you to.
Yeah.
stay seated.
What's the date?
7/21.
Okay, architects, engineers can be present, except for the traffic engineer is not available there.
What do you say is 22nd?
21st.
The 21st, yeah.
Yep.
I am, absolutely.
But he might be able to call in remotely like Mr. Shepherd did.
It'll be hybrid. So
Yeah.
it'll be.
Oh, so he could call in
Yeah.
if you're available.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess, looks like.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
I know. No, I didn't know it's like.
Well, then continue this. Next year.
Yeah, no.
Well, if you are about.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
When you cancel. Because we're here.
Yeah.
And public participation here for items not on the agenda. As long as you don't want to talk about the truck wash, you can address the commission. No, we have a public hearing on the application. So they're gonna go through the rest of that.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
We have a couple more things to do, so if you want to skedaddle now, if not, you're gonna be recording the rest of the meeting. So I don't have to leave.
Just get out.
Take care. Take care. I got your voicemail, I just didn't get a chance. Okay.
Thanks for your presentation.
Mr. Chairman, did you vote on your last motion? Was there a vote taken?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed it.
Going to unfinished business.
Nothing on, for unfinished business.
Approval of minutes from June 16th. Everybody had a chance to peruse and digest. Make a motion to accept the minutes for June 16th, 2026 meeting. Here,
I'll second that.
okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Correspondence, Mike?
We have had a CROG referral, and it was a huge packet. I didn't get a chance to print everything out.
Okay.
It's just a referral, their letters on adjacent communities that passed the housing amendments that we had to do last month.
Yeah.
So I can, they're posted online, and I can bring them to the next meeting if you're interested. Packet was big enough.
Did they comment on ours?
They did for us, and they had no concerns.
Oh, okay.
This was,
Okay.
yeah, a bunch of the towns were behind, so they're doing their stuff.
Okay. Is anyone interested in seeing
Yeah, I
what
was gonna
this?
say, can you send it as a PDF?
I have their comments. I don't have their actual reg.
Yeah, just.
Okay. Well, I guess we're to public participation. Items that are not listed on the agenda. If you have comments and concerns,
I do.
okay,
Let's stand up.
yes, and just tell us your name and where.
Hi, I'm MJ Wickham. I live at 21 Red Oak Hill Road. And I might have discussed this before with you, with the board. 22 Red Oak Hill Road across the street from me is rented to multiple tenants with a lease per bedroom. And those tenants are students, they have massive parties. Like really big parties. And this has been a continuing problem. The house recently sold. The new owner now has a 7-bedroom house. He's rented it to 7 individual tenants with 7 different leases. I've also I've complained to the fire marshal, which I haven't had a response from yet. You know, because the street fills up with cars. There's all kinds of, screaming and yelling, and, I can't exit my driveway because their cars are parked at the end of my driveway, sometimes overnight, for weeks on end. So anyways, we have a new grouping of tenants coming in, August, 7 of them. He's expanded the driveway. From what I understand, the house is a 5-bedroom. And I know Mike has made some referrals for me, the building officer and the.
Sanitary.
Yes, so hopefully they'll follow through, but I just wanted to alert everyone of that several houses in town have sold recently. These investors are coming in, they're in a group, on WhatsApp and Facebook, and they talk about which houses are for sale, how to go about buying them, the best interest rates, and how many tenants they can get into one house. How many bedrooms can they get out of one house? They're not in Mansfield, they have to stick to no more than 300 people, but here, they seem to be exceeding it. No. So if anybody needs any, Mike has all paperwork for me, everything I've corresponded with them. I have more information, pictures of, well, just of parking, I have video of the parties. But I'm not like stopping me about it. And then my fire marshal complaints, my police department complaints, and my complaints to Nick. So I just wanted to let you know, weigh in and what I'm trying to do.
Have the state police been involved?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have gotten record of it every time I've called. One time, I canceled because I texted the guy across the street and asked him to stop the party, and he did. Generally, they
Disregard.
really just don't have the parties.
But anyway, seven leases for 7 people and 5-bedroom house seems. Um,
Good.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Staff report?
The only thing that I had on here, we had originally planned to have in June, the joint commission meeting with Board of Selectmen and EDC. But there was no budget and it was the day of a budget vote, so, or there was a town meeting, so Board of Selectmen was there. So we are trying to get another date scheduled. And I'm trying to stick to this commission's regularly scheduled meeting since you make up the biggest group of people, and I don't have to then coordinate with another 9 people. So, we're continuing. We continued the public hearing to the 21st meeting. We don't have a regularly scheduled meeting for the first August meeting. That's like the August recess, if you will. So the next meeting after that would be the second August meeting. So if I were to shoot for that to try to see if EDC, Board of Selectmen were available, are people generally expecting to be here?
Okay.
What
would be the date?
That would be.
It's my last hurrah for vacation. Sorry. Before the kids go back to school.
Yeah.
Tuesday, August 18th.
I'll probably be around. Either that or, at some point, can we schedule a special meeting?
We can. It's just that
I know it's.
Board of Selectmen meets, on their opposing Mondays.
Yep.
And then you guys are on the Tuesday. So like trying to find a date, and with all the budget hearings and stuff it's everybody's, Walter and Bill are on Board of Finance, Mike's on EDC. So like everybody, he's on building committee. So you're on conservation. So I have the working commission, and after church Sunday. But
I could probably do it online if I'm gone. I don't have that calendar on me. I might be back, but I can do it online if I had to too. So
I mean, we can push it to September. It's just that we're getting, it's just kind of a long ways away.
Well, let me ask you this. I don't follow EDC that much. How far along is EDC on their paperwork? I mean, I've been kind of waiting for a year and a half to have that second public meeting to go over the report that was done.
So they are at the point of wanting to now talk with some of those specific boards and commissions to sort of, number one, get buy-in to the recommendations from the report, because if other decision-making bodies don't support its recommendations or findings, the EDC can't make progress alone. But 2, there are some things that the report recommends as far as implementation with zoning regs and things like that. We've had a lot of discussions about bringing back the discussions for tax agreements.
Okay.
And so they want to have all the different agencies at the table to discuss how to move some of those balls down the field.
Well, they want us to talk about the SDZ zone. again.
SDZ, tax.
Now, all the everything that just got implemented with, commercial spaces that can be this, there's a whole lot of stuff now that needs to just kind of be popped out of it. And okay, can we push some of this forward now? Does everybody agree? And let's shape it, form it, that the terminology, the town's behind it. So, and I think that's where we're struggling a little bit. That
Okay.
The workshop for that will at least kind of address those kind of specifics to at least say, oh, like, we can at least move this part forward. And present.
Yeah.
So let me try to get sort of circle everybody around that August date. And if it turns out we can't get a majority of folks, then we'll push it. But I didn't want to have it to coincide with the hearing for this application.
No, right.
We'll be starting at 10. Yeah.
You're right.
And so as a reminder, no first August meeting. So we'll hold that second date, and I'll I'll circle back around with everybody.
Well, hopefully the rest of these meetings with the development won't be as long as their initial presentation. So,
Probably not.
Big bulk of the information at least just out there.
Yeah.
What happens?
how does everybody feel about adjournment? Everybody's there? Okay, so moved.
9:53.
Yep.